This is Manuel Cairo Rodriguez, Associate Professor at the University of Vigo and IEEE Senior Member. In the Module 1, Creative Commons licenses were introduced. In this session, we review how they can be used in practice and some related issues. Creative Commons started as a way to reserve some rights over an intellectual work without making it absolutely free. This picture shows the variety of Creative Commons licenses over a range. Public domain is the most open and copyright is the least. Regardless of the particular Creative Commons license, there are two important properties to hold in mind. First, all Creative Commons licenses are non-exclusive. Creators and owners can enter into additional different license arrangements for the same material at any time. This is often referred to as dual licensing or multi-licensing. Second, Creative Commons licenses are not revocable. This means that once granted, the license cannot be drawn. When you create an open educational resource using third-party resources, it's important to take into account the licenses of such resources. Before licensing, you will need to obtain copyright clearance for any copyrighted materials you intend to use. Copyright clearance means that you have permission, ideally writing, from the copyright holder to use the resource. But how to license? Many educators assume that when they put the content on the internet, they are doing so to share with others. While that may be true, unless materials are licensed under open licenses, educators' freedom to share these resources legally is restricted. Therefore, it's important to use a license. The first thing to do with Creative Commons is to decide if adaptations are allowed and commercial use. Next, it's important to check if the desired license is compatible with the licenses of the resources included or adapted. And finally, to assign the license. Let's see how to do it. When we are modifying a resource, we have to respect the following table in order to assign a new license. Non-derivative licenses don't allow modification at all by definition. Share-alike licenses limit the possible choices to exactly the same license. Public domain, buy, and buy non-commercial licenses allow us to assign almost any kind of license, with some exceptions that are not clear, in yellow color. For example, it's quite weird to put in the public domain an adaptation of a resource originally licensed as buy non-commercial. There are similar limitations when two works with different licenses are combined. It seems natural to assume that a resource with a Creative Commons license could be mixed with another resource with a different license. Nevertheless, this is not the case. It's not possible to mix a resource with a buy non-commercial with a buy share-alike. As you can see in the table, there are many combinations not allowed. It's also possible to include existing resources into collections such as anthologies, encyclopedias, and broadcasts. You may choose a license for the collection in accordance to the following table. However, this doesn't change the license applicable to the original material. When you have a clear idea about the license to use, then it's time to include it. For printed material, you should display the license along with the link to the legal code. For online material, there are some things that you should be aware. A Creative Commons license is composed of three different layers. Legal code, this is the actual license, which is a detailed legal document. Human readable, this is a kind of a user-friendly interface to the legal code beneath. And machine readable version, this is written into a format that software systems, search engines, and other kinds of technology can understand. It's important to include not just the human readable layer, but also the machine readable version. You can use license your work tool provided by the Creative Commons website to generate it. This ensures that your work gets listed in open educational resources search engines. You can use Creative Commons licensed materials as long as you follow the license conditions. One condition of all Creative Commons licenses is attribution. Here is an example of an ideal attribution because it includes title, author, source, and license. Nevertheless, how you attribute depends on whether you modify the content, if you create a derivative, if there are multiple sources, etc. You can find a detailed information about a great variety of scenarios in this web address.